Hello and welcome back to my channel. My name is Wolf-Watz and I am the author of 4 self-published books and 2 tour guides. And today we're going to talk about writing. Last time, well, depends on if you're new to the channel or not, but in the previous videos I've talked about starting your writing process when you're trying to write a book, and I've explained a bit about the way I set off writing, and if you were interested in that, I'll link them in the description below. Today we're going to talk more about the actual process of writing, like when you know what you want to write, or when you have like the sort of like scene that you want to write. How do you go about it? And I think it can be a little bit distracting sometimes when you look at other authors, because there's so many programs to choose from. There's the specialized programs for authors like Scrivener, and then there are the basic generic programs that you just write in, like word processors. And personally I write in OpenOffice because it's free and it works really well. You also have like Word, of course. Microsoft Word works well as well. But I just didn't see the point when I could just as well download OpenOffice. Then some people prefer to write in Google Docs, which also works quite well. Can be frustrating sometimes with the formatting, because sometimes Google Docs tend to have its own little formatting things with them when you transfer them into another program. So that's up to you. I will say though that I've written in OpenOffice, I've written in Google Docs. I actually use Google Docs as part of my process. And then there's also like just your regular notes, which works surprisingly well actually. I had a bit of a technological malfunction on my computer last year, fall of last year, and my computer is born in 2013, so it's a bit old, and the hard drive just stopped working. And then I had to change the hard drive, got a new one, and then when I got started, I wanted to see how far I could get by not downloading any new programs. Not sure why I wanted to see that, but I have this, I don't know, I take it up as a challenge. It's like, I wonder how far I get if I only use notes for writing. And you can get pretty far actually. And then you're so relieved when you finally get hold of like OpenOffice. It was just such a relief. I mean, I had access to Google Docs as well, but it's not the same. I find Google Docs can be a bit annoying sometimes for me personally. So I also like having backup copies. I know a lot of people will say like Google servers are always going to be there, always going to function. It's like the safest place where you can have anything on. But just a few weeks ago, Google shut down, so it's nothing is 100% safe. So I like to have backup copies, and I recommend that you have that as well, because there is nothing worse than when you've written, like when my hard drive, for instance, crashed. I had backup copies saved on my memory stick and everything, but I hadn't saved for like a week, so that was like 10,000 words at least. I would just go. So after that, I now save every day on my memory stick, and it was okay. They could retrieve it from the old hard drive, so it was fine in the end, but still very stressful. You're kind of trying to replace pen and paper with something electronic. So as long as it's like a white background and you have the ability to type words, go for it. Don't make it more difficult than it has to be. You can even do it on your phone. You can even do it like walking around. I've done that too. Like you use dictation, and then you can just walk around and talk into your phone, and it sort of writes for you, which is pretty neat if you want to do other things and just sit in front of a screen all day long writing. I also think that sometimes when we're trying to choose the perfect software or the perfect computer or the perfect anything, it's really just about procrastination. So we kind of go into this whole and sort of mindset where we're just like, I can't write unless I have this perfect thing for writers. And that's not true. You can write with whatever you have. Pen and paper also works, though you have to do a bit more work afterwards when you get into machine, especially if you want to do self-published books. And I think even if you, well, I suppose you can do it with a typewriter if you're sending it to a publisher, but I'd still want it electronically. But that's me. It's all up to you what you feel like doing. Enough about the programs. When it comes to the writing process, I explained some of the process I used in To Plot or Not. There are, of course, like, I think there's a writing process for every author out there, so pick and choose whatever you feel like works for you. Just explore the smorgasbord of ideas that other authors have already come up with and have put into their process. For me, personally, I write 1,500 to 2,500 words per day, and that usually takes me around 3 to 4 hours with breaks in them. I'm a journalist, so I'm used to writing a lot, and it's not, for me, that's a good pace. If you're just starting out and you might not have so much experience writing, then clock yourself and go from that. Like, there's no one saying that you have to produce a certain amount of words every day, and some days you might need a break as well. There's this saying that you shouldn't go a day without writing, but I think that's a very, very good way to drive yourself insane. Having that sort of pressure on yourself, like, always in the process of writing, I think can be a bit much, even for the best of us. So take breaks, but I think trying to write as much as you can and not be critical of what you're writing is key to getting it done. Like, you don't have to think about what you're writing. Just put down whatever comes into your head, and then when you go through the editing process, that's when you kind of make the selection of what to keep and not to keep. And and be aware that most of what you put out there is going to be pretty bad. Like, crap, like, basically is 80% of or at least 50% of what you write is going to be crap, and that's good. Crap is fertilizer. It kind of helps you bring out those good ideas that you get from when you're working through, when you're processing your words later on. So don't be afraid of that. Everyone sucks in the first draft. Like, even professional, like, well-renowned best-selling authors, if you would read their first drafts, you'd be like, huh? What is this? So just keep at it. Second part in my process is to sort of realize when you have a beginning, a middle, and an end that you're kind of pleased with, and you have some stuff in between, and you're kind of you kind of feel like you have a story, like it sort of goes somewhere. You have characters that you kind of feel like you know a little bit at least, and you're sort of have like this whole time frame, like, this is when my story is going to start, this is what happens, and this is where they end up. So when that is all done, that's what I call a first draft. Some people would be a little more detail oriented in the first draft, but that's my first draft. I don't think you need to go into more detail than that. It's basically you're creating the skeleton of the story. So you'll be adding on flesh and stuff later on, but that's like the first major part. Then you leave it for a month, or at least 2 weeks. Just don't look at it. Go start your other projects, write something else, keep working on whatever you're going to start writing on when you finish this one, because you need fresh eyes when you're going through the process of rewriting. And I think it is very difficult to spot mistakes. It's very difficult to spot like plot holes if you are still kind of in the, I think, in the infatuation phase with your first draft. You're like so in love with what you've written. It's very hard to see the flaws and the faults. So after that, after you let it rest for a month, go through the draft again, fill in the blanks. I usually add like more adjectives the second time I'm writing. I might add more about the location, like feeling, sense, all of those things. For me, the first draft is basically the action and dialogue, and then the second one mainly to get more of a full experience of the world that they're in. The fourth step is taking the whole thing and writing down what happens. This is where I do my plotting. This is where I see this happen, so therefore that sort of scene has to be here, and maybe I need to write something else there. And and I might have left a lot of threads that I haven't tied up. So that's something that I see when I kind of go through every part of the book, chapter by chapter, and notice, okay, here's a gap or here's too much. And the fifth step is filling those blanks. Work through the text once more or twice more sometimes. Depends on how well it's going. And then for the sixth part of the writing process, you're kind of done with it. You have like an actual script. It might not be great script yet, but it's there. And that's when I start the editing. I don't consider like the first 2 drafts or maybe 3 drafts to be editing. I think of that as writing because of the way that I write. I kind of have to rewrite things a couple of times before it's an actual script that I can, something that I can go into and edit. Before then it's like creative writing, and after that part it's more editing, which is all about the words. So that's, for me, editing is getting rid of useless words, adding the right words, sort of getting the feel for the language, making sure that everything runs smoothly. The last trim, basically. That's editing for me. I'll be going into the editing process in the next video. I hope you enjoyed this. I hope this helped you with your writing. Please let me know what is your process, or what do you think your process would be like, and what are you writing on? I'll see you then. Bye!